So I just grabbed a pen and walked over and asked him if I could have his autograph. And he said if I fucking must.
We will find out who Tim Burgess is talking about in the course of this episode of Midnight Chats number 95. Thank you for listening. My name's Stuart Stubbs. I am tonight's host. It was Greg's turn last week when he spoke to Idols. This week it's myself and Tim Burgess, who you will know as the lead singer of The Charlatans, as well as a solo musician in his own right. Or maybe you know Tim Burgess as that Twitter guy. Tim has become a bit of a Twitter celebrity thanks to his listening parties that have been running over lockdown. They've been very successful. He's called it Tim's Twitter Listening Party. It's not the most imaginative title, but it is very good. I've got some links below to some info about that, but also to some of the other things we talk about. In particular, there's a song called A Man Needs to Be Told down there. It's the track that we allude to when we're talking about Tim singing in a falsetto voice. Tim doesn't mention the name of the song itself, but that is the name of it. It's A Man Needs to Be Told. So I've put a link for that down there. And there are two other important links. One is our support button for this podcast. If you enjoy it enough to sling us a couple of quid, then please do. That would be much appreciated. It helps us make more episodes of Midnight Chats. And then there's another supporter button, which is for Loud and Quiet. We are also, as well as makers of this podcast, we make a music magazine, a website and some other stuff. And you can become a member of Loud and Quiet for the year at loudandquiet.com/subscribe. The link is down there and it tells you everything that you get for that. It includes all of our magazines that we will send you, our badges, our merch, our playlists. All the information is there. Only support us if you can, and it's not gonna, put you in a financial bind. For now though, thank you for listening to episode 95 of the podcast. This is Midnight Chats with Tim Burgess.
I've only been to London once since lockdown began, and that was last week. But I was, it wasn't really for a length of time. So I fancy spending a day in the city, which is quite a new, not a new thing, but definitely a thing for me these days.
So you're out in Norfolk, right?
Oh, in Norfolk, yeah. It's kind of a small village near the sea. Okay. But in kind of a wooded kind of area, so it sounds really a lot better. It's amazing. Yeah, but I do make it sound good.
But you've been there a long time. This is the thing, isn't it? Like, it doesn't, in a weird way, the whole lockdown thing, it just like levels everything, doesn't it? Even if you live in paradise, lockdown has just made everybody sick of where they are. Now.
I don't think I could have been anywhere better. It was a fine place to spend lockdown, but I'm excited to be in London.
Did you deal with the situation well, generally speaking, the lockdown thing?
Yeah, I think I did.
You got through it okay?
Yeah. I've had moments, I think, but I feel very, very lucky.
What's the thing that you missed?
Things that I missed. Well, I realised that I really like spending time with people, sharing things, and so I missed that. I also realised that I really missed the gym, and I go to the gym pretty much every day, and that's where I listen to music, and I do the same thing. It's like 45 minutes on the treadmill with some headphones on. That's it.
Okay.
Right. No more, no less. Right. And then I go about my day, which usually involves playing records, writing songs, and doing things revolved around, what I've always wanted to do, which is like making music and listening to music.
So how long have you been a gym guy?
I've been a gym guy for about since Los Angeles got me into being a gym guy, because it was the alternative to the lifestyle that I was leading before the gym. The complete opposite.
Because you lived in LA for like about 13 years, right?
12 years, yeah.
Wow, okay. And that's from like, what years are we talking for that?
So 98 until 2010.
Wow, that's a stint.
Yeah.
How did you? I mean, obviously you liked it to stay there that long.
I liked it. I liked it more than probably any other place that I've ever lived. But with that were sort of like, things that I didn't make it very easy for the band, being in a band from the UK.
Yeah.
I enjoyed myself maybe a little too much in some for a while. But it was the place that kept me. It was the actual place that kept me there because I love it so much.
What was it that made you want to move there?
I've been going to this one part of Los Angeles, and it's Hollywood, and it's by the Capitol Records building, and there's some bars there and some cinemas and places, and I've kind of found like a center, and I've been gravitating towards it since '92, and we played some big shows there, and always went to after parties in this place called the Cat and Fiddle, which is like an English pub in the middle of on
Okay.
Sunset Boulevard. And so with the Charlatans, Telling Stories had come out. Robert died. It was a big thing. Lots of changes happening, and in my head, I just felt like I felt like that was, just needed. I needed to deal with what I was going to do with my life. I felt, at the time. So I needed a big move after such a big event of Rob's death.
Is it quite... This is just something I've always wondered when people move to LA, like musicians move to LA.
Yeah.
Is it an easy thing to do in the sense of, if I wanted to move to LA, I don't know, like, the green card thing and all of that. When you're a musician, do you kind of is there an easier way in when you're working within entertainment, as it were? You were an entertainer.
Well, yeah. I mean, I just went there and fell in with some friends, and I got an apartment and didn't have a green card, but just kind of like kept going for appointments for green cards and things like that, and
did enough
missing appointments
to,
and things like that. And I actually went for to get a citizenship the day that I actually left LA, because I finally got around to it. I thought, I'm going to try and get a citizenship just before I get on the plane home. And I went and I passed the test, but I had not spent enough time in LA because, I had to do lots of work with the band and go on tour and things like that. So I missed out by about 2 or 3 days. You have to spend like 130 odd days a year or something in LA, and I passed the test. I had to revise and all that kind of stuff.
Did you? What kind of things are on the test?
Well, I just said it on my iPod. It's like, about the Fifth Amendment and things like that.
Sure.
And everything that I learned, I've forgotten because I only learnt it for that one thing.
For that moment.
Yeah.
So what was it that made you kind of come back after 12 years? What made you... Did you just feel, I kind of need to go home now? I'm done.
I felt that I'd been done for a few years before I left. There's a few things that happened. I gave up. The party lifestyle, drink and drugs, and kind of had 3 years in LA. Going to start. That's where the gym thing came.
Yeah.
So and just found that no one was really following my, So I was kind of just on my own in a lot of ways. So
right.
I was just kind of like, just spending a lot more time on my own, and I didn't really have any people who had the same sort of musical taste as me. I was coming to London a lot, and just kind of ended up just moving to Seven Sisters.
It feels like now there's a lot of people kind of within our world, like within independent music, who are like musicians who are going out there now to work on like TV and film stuff.
Wow,
and like,
wow.
I think like Graham Coxon's just moved out there to like write for TV and stuff, right?
So great.
So is that something like, did you do any of that while you were there? Do you have any interest in like writing for films?
I didn't. I mean, there was opportunities, but things like, I get things like that kind of often, and it's and I respond to the emails, and then there's response, and then lots of things fall to nothing, and
Right.
people just like to talk to me on email, but so lots of things like that did come and didn't come, and I made a solo album out there. I made a Charlatans album out there that I think is possibly one of our best one. I think it's our best one, yeah, in my opinion.
Is that Wonderland?
Yeah,
Yeah, Wonderland is your best one.
I think it is. I think it's like sort of like whatever that is.
Yeah,
kind of like diving out. It's sort of superhero stuff,
For the listeners, Tim is putting his arm high in the air,
like Superman.
like Superman. Wonderland is great. I think that album. I was at university when that album came out. I came to see you play. You played it at Wembley Arena.
We did
on that tour. I came to that,
Wow.
and it was I love that record. I'm glad
amazing.
it's nice to hear that that's your favorite record.
I just think it's kind of like, I think it's crazy, a crazy record. And it was like, we didn't have master tapes. It was all WAVs and we did it on ADAT, I think. But, we were literally kind of moving from one studio to the next and being locked out of studios until we paid bills and things like that. It was a real kind of ramshackly thing. Yeah, it was just amazing. And we worked with Danny Saber and we did some stuff, at sort of, downtown LA. And then we finished a lot of it off in our own studio in Cheshire. And there was lots of and we just managed to piece it all together, and it just sounds fantastic.
Yeah, it was also the record where you started, like the falsetto singing came in.
Yeah,
and that's kind of like you've not done that much on record since. Have you done it at all on record since?
I think I have done
Bits
it on
and
record
pieces.
since, on bits and pieces. Yeah, but so I had this idea with Mark about the idea of men needing to be told what to do. Right?
Yeah,
and thought it was quite a good, quite a good idea. And I sang it in a falsetto because I wanted to sound like I was thinking, we were talking about Neil Young, and it was kind of like the opposite of A Man Needs a Maid.
Yeah,
right. But I wanted to sing it in the Neil Young kind of way, And then we left it. We had that song for a while, and we just kind of left it. And then I wanted to sing everything in falsetto after that because that's kind of, naturally I'm kind of a bit like that. I get really excited and
that is the sound of that record. There's loads where you're in falsetto, which is what I think makes it. Did you meet Neil Young when you were out there? Have you met that guy?
No, I haven't. No.
He might be one of those that it's maybe best not to meet. Do you know? I've just got that feeling.
I'd love to see him cross the road.
Maybe. Yeah. Just watch him. Just watch him. Would you approach him? If you
it depends. I mean, a lot of the time I do approach people.
Do you?
Yeah.
I think that's a good rule to have. I know some people who don't at all.
Yeah.
They've got a rule. Don't meet the people you admire.
No.
And I know some people who are just like, this is my only chance.
Yeah,
I'm going to go meet them.
yeah.
I kind of like that.
Yeah.
I'm more the other way because I've always
I understand that.
put them on a pedestal, but I do like the idea of being like, well, that's Neil Young. It's my one chance. I'm going to go and meet him. And if he swears at me, then that's fine.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I spoke to Lou Reed.
Did you? I bet he swore at you.
He did swear at me. Yeah.
Where did you see him? And what was your opening way in? What did you say to him?
So it was around about the time of Set the Twilight Reeling album. So it was like 90s.
Yeah.
He was sitting on his own in Manchester Piccadilly train station.
Wow. About to catch a train.
About to catch a train.
Back to London or
something.
something.
And no one, I was looking at him for a while and thinking, no one knows, but that's Neil.
That's
Lou Reed. And so I just grabbed a pen and walked over and asked him if I could have his autograph. And he said, if I fucking must.
Is that what he said?
Yeah, and he was grumpy and made a few noises and things like that, and then passed me the pen back, and then was kind of like nice then a little bit,
Okay, yeah.
Because I was just like, do you mind? Because I was all kind of, I built it up a little bit, and and he just,
Have you still got the signature?
Yeah.
Who else have you got? Or is he an anomaly? Is there not many people you've done that?
No, I've Carl Barrett.
I've got Carl Barrett's.
Yeah, I've got Carl Barrett, so good.
That's worth a lot.
Yeah.
That's the one that you can retire on.
Yeah, but I mean, I like to see people and go. I always speak to Neil Tennant. I make a point of seeing it. If I see him, I always go up to him and say, "It's Tim." Remember, and he pick up his glasses and go, "So it is."
One person that I know you met in LA, or actually, I don't know this. This is a Wikipedia fact. This might be completely untrue.
Yeah,
is Joaquin Phoenix?
Oh yeah.
Did you record a record with him for like his record?
It was a very strange 10 days.
Okay. This is like, how long have you been in LA at this point?
Well, I'm thinking that it was probably about 2008.
Okay. And he was making a record himself, which hasn't come out, right? This record exists.
So Anthony Langdon was in a band called Space Hog, right? And so he's from Leeds.
Right, okay.
And Joaquin was writing lyrics, and they were both kind of collaborating on music for an album that Anthony was singing, but Joaquin was writing all the lyrics, and you could tell.
Okay.
It's kind of everything, or his whole life was in these lyrics. And I did some backing vocals, and the reason how a mutual friend drove us up to this house, saying, "I can't tell you who it is," and
right,
but it's a great friend of mine. We got there, and it was Joaquin.
So at that point, did you know you were going around there to like
be involved? I think he liked Britpop.
Okay, okay,
and he wanted some. Kind of.
He said, "Bring me a Britpopper.
Bring me someone from Britpop." So went to this house and then to a studio where they were mixing and dismantling it. It went from being quite heavy, kind of very 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 Bowie,
right?
But probably also. Bit kind of more American rock as well, really, I suppose. And then it became really stripped down, acoustic-y kind of Bowie style. And Anthony's vocals were amazing. There's about 5 songs where I did backing vocals on. A few other people came in and out, and then there was a few other recording sessions. Joaquin would drive me home, and then he was going away to film, and he lent me his car. I didn't do anything with it because I didn't really. It was just like, I think he didn't want to look for a parking space, and it was just like he would sort of tell me stories, and like he is when he collects his awards, it's like a hand in his hair and
intense guy.
Yeah, I was in this film and I played Johnny Cash, and I was like, I know. And so it's just stuff like that while I was driving and things like that. But it was a really great time. And then nothing, and then the film where he is, you don't know whether it's the film or whether it's real life.
Is that I'm
not there?
Yeah.
I'm not here or I'm not there.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, we'll have to look it up.
Yeah. We'll get that in the edit.
Yeah. And Anthony's in that film, and
I don't know if I'd meet him actually. He strikes me as quite an intimidating guy because he's obviously so quite intense.
He likes to blend in or disappear. I would possibly say. So you see him on the street, and he's almost hiding. He's a little bit like that.
Right. Okay.
And always kind of, definitely doesn't want to stand out.
Yeah.
But then we went to a club, and they weren't going to let us in, and he whispered something into this guy.
I'm Joaquin Phoenix.
And then he said, "Man, don't make me do this, man. Don't make me do this." And then we went in, and then within minutes, it was like just everyone was around our table.
Right, okay.
The whole building.
Wow.
Within, and it was like, it was wow.
Did you enjoy that? Like, because I think one of the things I love about LA, I've only been a couple of times, but one of the things I like about it is that you can sense that world's there. I mean, I didn't get anywhere near it, but like there's something so alluring about it. I know it's ridiculous. I know I should be like, I know it's not cool to say it. I should just be more like dismissive of it, but there is something quite being in it. Did you find it like quite an alluring, attractive world, or was it strange? Because I also drove around. One of the things I did when I was in LA, I drove around Bel Air and Beverly Hills because I wanted to see it. And I was both amazed and just saddened by it because there's no sidewalks and it's so weird and it's so quiet and strange, and everyone's in these kind of palaces that are kind of like prisons because they can't really just walk everywhere. And it's just this weird kind of two sides of it. Like, how did you find it?
Well, I think living actually, in Hollywood, in that area, was pretty good because like Silver Lake was quite Silver Lake was closer to Beverly Hills. You know what I mean. And I did go to Beverly Hills a few times, but it's kind of like that's like walking down Regent Street, basically. So it's like it's just another world. It's a visit. Silver Lake was somewhere where I played with other musicians and met Anton from Brian Jonestown Massacre and those guys, and we'd go to shows there. There's lots of really good clubs there, and that really. Seeing people film things, I didn't find it alluring, really. But I enjoyed it. I just thought, oh well, look, there's Larry David, and it's like, and it's so great to just sort of like be driving past and turning around and seeing Larry David, or being behind, I can't remember his name, not Jeff, the other guy in Curb Your Enthusiasm.
The big guy is Jeff, isn't it?
The big guy's Jeff, but the guy looks like Ronnie Wood.
Yeah, I know the guy.
And him sort of like doing a whole performance without the cameras and thinking, David Lynch, when he makes a David Lynch film, it's a film about real life to him. Because these characters, they exist, or they're all there, and they're not acting. It's just rolling the camera.
So do you reckon that record, that Joaquin Phoenix record, it might come out one day? Might it suddenly just arrive?
Well, I have no idea. I mean, what I heard was that they were using the bits on the rap record that was going to come out.
Oh yeah,
which didn't come out either. So I have no idea. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, to me, it's there with the Chavs mythology.
Yes, the Chavs, which brings us back to Cole Barrett.
It does. That autograph's going to be worth a lot.
That was the Chavs. Where are we at with the Chavs? I feel I should ask now that we've brought it up.
Well,
Chavs, I should explain for anyone who is not familiar, was I'm going to use the term supergroup. It was you, Cole Barrett. Who else was in it?
Andy Burrow was on the first gig, and Martin Duffy, and then that changed quite quickly to Stefan from Klaxons.
That's it, yeah. And was Jamie from Klaxons?
Yeah. And we had two drummers for a while as well. But I say for a while, we only did 3 gigs. But and then we split up very unacrimoniously and have not spoken for years.
Okay, there you go. That's the story of the Chavs.
Yeah, we had a 5-gig plan to get us from the Tap and Tin in Chatham.
In Chatham, that was it.
Yeah, to the Carnegie Hall.
Right. Within 5 gigs.
Within 5 gigs. And
I like that drive.
Yeah, and we wrote a song that lasted for an hour, and that's all I know.
That's all I can remember from
that.
We
did Glastonbury. Yeah.
Okay, that's all right, isn't it? So I wanted to talk to you about the listening parties.
Yeah.
Because that's been a big thing during lockdown. Mm-hmm. I was saying to Greg, who I do this podcast with, we take turns doing interviews. Yeah. We were saying we've got to make sure we don't make all of this series about COVID and about lockdown.
Sure.
But essentially, we have to talk about this because it's been such a great success and such a great thing to do. I'll let you explain what Tim's Twitter listening party is.
At a certain time, a designated time, people all over the world listen to an album and someone who made that album, a significant member of the band or an artist, involved, tweets along as we listen.
It's a brilliant idea because it's so simple.
Yeah.
That why didn't someone else come up with this years ago? But you actually did, right? You did the first time you did this was about 10 years ago.
Yeah, I was actually watching, with Twitter, I joined up and got a few thousand fans, and would post about upcoming gigs and things like that, and didn't really know what all the fuss is about. And then I posted something about coffee, and it went a bit crackers, right? Yeah. And so I was just kind of like trying to work out what Twitter was all about, really. And I knew, started to realize it was about engagement, and people just really wanted to talk about funny stuff, really. And I noticed one of the cast members, Riz Ahmed,
yes,
from Four Lions, said, if you watch Four Lions tonight, I'm going to tweet along.
Right, okay.
And you'll see when the fourth take that I get into the car, that's the one that I laughed the least. And that's the one that they used in the film.
Right, okay.
And I thought, that is amazing, right?
So this is years ago, though. This is
like 10 years ago.
Okay.
And I thought, I'm going to do a Charlatans album and tweet along. And,
about what you remember from recording
about
it.
what
like
I remember from recording
this
it.
track. And
yeah, exactly. And it's like, so I put it to, the Twitter, my Twitter followers. And they thought it was a good idea. And by the end of it, it was like, wow, this is great. So I did the next album and did the next album. And, I'd done all Charlatans, 13 albums by the Charlatans, 5 or 6 times over 10 years. But so on the pretty much, the first week of lockdown, I just decided to do a listening party again for some friendly. And then Alex Caprana said, great, I can't wait for that. I bought that record when I was 17 years old. It's a big one for me. And at that moment, I thought, well, why don't you do one?
So he was the first one that you did of some bit of a different artist, essentially, was Alex Caprana. So
and Dave Rowntree was pretty close, behind. And all of a sudden...
So were they getting in touch with you saying this is? I mean,
they're quite active on Twitter anyway. So they saw that I was announcing that I was going to do some friendly, and they kind of were responding. And I thought Dave would choose. I don't know. I don't know which album he would choose, but he wanted to do Part Life. And Alex wanted to do the debut Franz Ferdinand album. And I thought, this is like really great of them to do that. You know, Bonehead did Definitely Maybe. And Wendy Smith, Steve McQueen.
Yeah.
And we had like 5 there that were just like, to me, really got... I mean, by the time we got to Wendy... Okay, so, the first Franz Ferdinand album, Alex was the first, and then Dave Rowntree, he had all this memorabilia of Park Life that no one had ever seen before, and his girlfriend had laminated it. So it's like brilliant. And by the end of it, he realised that he could have a coffee table book if he wanted. I mean, I'm sure he hasn't thought about it again since that night, but he just had all this like stuff. Memorabilia and like lyrics that Damon had kind of like half written, and he was presenting to Phil, and and then Bonehead obviously had the enormity of kind of like Oasis followers and stuff like that. Yeah. And Liam was going to join in, and then he didn't, and
I saw that,
he said he never was going to, and
of course he did.
And all that kind of stuff. And then Wendy just like took it emotionally to a place that It's one of my favorite albums anyway, but the way she described it all was mad.
It's amazing. The one that there was some really good things, some good like facts, because by these people being involved and sharing the kind of stories about it, there's loads of things that you obviously nobody knows because it's not come out in interviews or whatever.
Yeah.
I like that Bonehead shared. Oh, it wasn't Bonehead. I think it was the guy who designed the sleeve.
Oh yeah, Brian Cannon. Yeah.
Posted what Liam wanted the sleeve to originally be. And it was like a block of butter with a knife in it. It just said definitely maybe on it. I'll put a link to that in the base of this podcast. It's brilliant. It's it actually looks like a real Britpop album, doesn't it? It looks like the kind of sleeve that Sleeper might have actually come up with.
Well, he would never get asked that question, would he?
Yeah, what was that picture going to be?
Yeah, and that, that's a really great thing to bring up, because people ask me all the time, what is it that makes it, and I always think that there's time passed, between the making of the album and musicians open up a lot more, as time goes on, I think. But that's a really good point. Bringing in the other people, like who, the people who had significant roles but maybe weren't asked any questions at the time. And
I also didn't realize one of the things that Bonehead said. This is just I think this is a great nerdy fact. I didn't know this, but like Morning Glory is over 2 vinyls because it's too loud to go onto one, and that's because the grooves. I didn't realize this, but the louder a song, the wider the groove on a record.
Right. Wow.
And I was like, I feel like I've been educated by Bonehead here in a big way.
He's been incredible.
He's quite a Twitter guy, isn't he? He's quite active on Twitter.
He's been really fantastic, and really got it, and then finally did help with the Liam one as well.
Yeah. So how does it like work now in terms of? Oh, one thing I was going to ask is anyone is there anything? What's the most surprising thing that you can remember that someone said? Is there anything that stands out like that, like the record groove thing, or?
Someone said that I headlined Reading, and I didn't believe them until they put a poster in front of me.
You just couldn't remember that.
Just can't remember.
What year was that?
2000 and something.
Okay, you're like, no, we didn't. We didn't do that.
Yeah, didn't do that. I don't know. I mean, there's just everything's a surprise to me. It's just like, I mean, there's 350 now of them.
Wow. And didn't you do one day where you did like loads in one day?
Yeah, we've done festivals, yeah. And it's starting at 11 and finishing at 11.
Jesus.
Yeah.
It's such as I say, it's so great because it's kind of so beautifully simple. Like the best ideas are normally like the simplest ideas and stuff. But where are you now with it? Like, do PRs get in touch and say, hey, can you do so next? Can you do so? You're now part of like people's promotional campaigns.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's definitely been an increasing thing. And I think that's fine, but I also like the idea that someone would do it for because they like the listening party, and because they follow what's going on, and because they're fans of it. So even if they do want to do their new album, I try and encourage them to do an older album first, because I think then it doesn't, it's just more realistic, I think, and I think it's a very It's evolved from a very natural place, and I want to keep it like that, really.
And
sorry, go on.
It's kind of sorry. I was just going to say it's kind of almost key that it's an old album in a way, because as you say, with that distance from the record, they're maybe a bit more open about it. They remember different things. I suppose when someone's talking about their new record, that's still in like I'm in promotion mode, and I'm saying the things I need to be saying at this point to sell this record.
Yeah,
little
that's
bit.
True. That is true. I mean, it was great. Most people have got into that spirit, and everyone loves it after they've done it, and can't believe how exciting it actually is. And Kevin Rowland's been a huge advocate of it, and just he's doing all his records. But I think it's an organic thing. It's like you say, it's very simple, and people have wanted to turn it into TV shows. People have wanted to do everything with it, and it's like fine. And I'm getting I do a lot of correspondence with people on emails, and people have offered their suggestions of things like Instagram Live while it's all going on, but I don't really know what they would see. It'd just be me on my computer and kind of like putting a record. I probably might pause the record, putting the record bit on a bit more, but most of the time I just like press it and go. Sometimes I have some prepared tweets ready that I prepare in the afternoon after listening to it.
Because obviously it started. It started so long ago, but then lockdown has kind of given it this new lease of life and supercharged it.
It's the longest overnight sensation ever.
Do you intend to just carry on doing it now? Is there we're in this weird world, aren't we now?
Yeah.
Just in the sense that lockdown is ending and things will eventually get back to normal.
Yeah.
And I think there's all these things that have been set up that people are like, is this my life now? Is this my thing? How do you feel about it? Do you think?
I feel it is my thing in some ways. At the time I joked on Twitter that I am the Twitter guy.
Yeah.
Now.
You're a Twitter celebrity.
Yeah. But some people met two guys, both called Liam, who've never met each other before, fans of what I do, and they helped to do the replay thing, which I think was an amazing, really helped with everything. So if you miss it, you can actually listen to it in real time, on your own, which I just think is an amazing thing. And they also helped me with the diary, because at first I had 5 people booked in the same spot. I was just like, right. It's not my thing. It's like
need a PA now.
Yeah, I was trying to just like people coming in and me asking and all that. But anyway, I'm trying to get it to one a day. But so far I had none yesterday, and I've got 3 tomorrow. So it's but I love it, really. I love the complicatedness and craziness of it.
Yeah, it's great.
It's
great. And I think you're right. I feel like the format it's in is the format it should be in.
I do too. It's complicated.
Don't mess with success.
Right, there you
go. Leave it alone. One of the other things that you've had to that you and lots of artists have had to do is you've released a record in lockdown.
Yeah.
Which is how was that? Because obviously I felt really bad for anyone having to release a debut during lockdown, because I just thought, especially if you're a young musician and you dream of this moment, and then the day your record comes out, you're in isolation still, and you're in your house on your own. I always thought, God, that's rough, to have to be in that position. But equally, I think it's probably been tough for returning musicians. Doesn't matter how long you've been releasing records, you put all this effort into making something, and then you have to kind of release it now because we don't know when we're coming out of this and all of those sorts of things. How did you find it? Was it tough? Were you just okay with doing it that way and it being like that?
Yeah, I didn't want it to not come out, because I recorded it and finished it and started the process in October. We were going to go to South by Southwest, and obviously that got pulled first. One of the first festivals to not happen. But we booked tickets, and there's a festival in New York that was still going ahead. So we went to that and did 5 shows there, and then came back, and then it was lockdown, and I wasn't kind of ready for it to stop. And I was asked if it was still going to come out in May.
Yep.
And I thought, and I think it became an album for the lockdown,
I think I think maybe in history, I think certain people will remember certain records as being the thing that helped them get through lockdown. That sounds kind of cheesy and grandiose, but there were records that came out in lockdown that I loved, and I probably listened to them more because I was in lockdown, and I've got I'll always have that connection to them that maybe I wouldn't have if it had come out when I was running all over the place and getting on with normal things, and it's kind of been date stamped in that way. So there is, that's kind of maybe a very thin silver lining for artists to think that way, but I think there is I'm glad records came out in that time.
I am.
Is what I mean.
Me too. And I think for that concentrated time, I think records became very important, to people. And I think that's why the listening party worked as well, because people were. The most common thing that was said was that I've not listened to an album in its entirety for years.
Yeah.
Because it's all, you stream things, don't you? Or you listen to one track and things like that. And I was very pleased that my album came out during lockdown, because it was an album that, I make albums to sound like albums.
Yeah. Sure.
And I like the artistry that goes on in that, it's something that you think about, what's track 8 going to be like? It's got to be good. It's got to be like one of the most important ones. And, and track 4, that's,
Are they your two numbers, 4 and 8?
Well, they're all important.
I normally obsess over track 1.
Right, yeah.
Track 1's always...
It's got to be a good introduction.
There's got to be something at track 1, right? If it's not good at track 1...
But track 2 is important, because if it fails at 2, you're like, what's the point?
Yeah, that's true, yeah. Yeah, and then there's there was a time when, this is maybe like a mid-90s, early 90s thing, which is when I guess I really started getting really into music and into guitar bands, I guess, where... I don't know what track maybe it would be track 4 would always be the acoustic number of any band.
Yeah.
They would be like, well, we need an acoustic one.
Yeah.
Noel needs his song now. I think maybe it was a Noel thing. Noel maybe started that tradition, but everybody did that. But 4 and 8. Okay, so that. But no, okay. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Oh,
there,
not at all. No, and I'm kind of like just pulling out the numbers. Really, it could be. I just think I like the idea of making an album and the thought process that goes with making an album.
Yeah.
So for it to come out during lockdown when people were actually giving albums.
And before we finish, can I ask you one question about an interview I read with you about posting Drugs Back to Yourself in Jamiroquai records?
Yeah,
because. And this is what I loved about this, that if you were caught, you could say, "Well, I don't listen to Jamiroquai."
Yeah. Well, that was then.
Okay. Can you just? Do you mind retelling this story? Because I think it's great.
Yeah. I would post. Things that I needed in envelopes that had Jamiroquai's name on it, because when I received it, if someone would kind of catch me, I could, in my head, I was thinking that they would believe me because I wouldn't listen to his music. I told it very badly, but I kind of don't feel the same as I did when I wrote that thing. And I thought it was legit,
So you'd buy the record?
I still have the record. I still have the record.
Oh, right. Okay. Right.
It's a recurring thing.
Oh, so you just take the. Okay, I get you. You take right. That makes more sense. So you take the record with you, and you'd post it back to yourself.
Yeah.
As the decoy record.
Yeah, as the
It would
decoy
just be
record.
the decoy record.
Yeah, and I still have it. I still have it at the Charlatan studio, just in case that I relapse.
It's also a brilliant defense.
Yeah,
that would stand. I think it would stand up in court. Well, they can't be mine.
Saying that, I would love Jamiroquai to do a listening party.
Okay, JK, if you're listening, Tim takes that back about the record.
I do.
That'd be a good listening party.
That'd be amazing. Yeah. I mean, the thing is with the listening parties is that everyone who's done it, an eternal fan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it really did help people through a very, very difficult time, and I feel really quite passionate about that.
Great.
Yeah.
You should. It's a brilliant thing. And thanks for coming on the podcast.
Pleasure, mate.
Has that been all right? I'm rusty, and it's hot in here, isn't it?
It's really hot in here, and I hope that it was good for you. It was good for me. I mean, I always say too many and I always have a few vacant where I just stare into space.
That's all right. We can close those gaps.
Thanks. Yeah, but you can keep that bit if you want. I'm happy with that.
Anyway, good night.